Hello everyone. We will regularly bring you stories you like. I am Lisa, and I have been married to Mark for over 10 years. Initially, our marriage was filled with love and passion, but as time went by, Mark became increasingly busy with work and showed less and less concern for me. I felt lonely and oppressed. The long years of marriage had left me physically and mentally exhausted. Every day, I felt neglected in this marriage. I longed for attention and love, but Mark seemed always distracted, completely occupied by work. I often reminisced about the sweet times when we first met. Back then, Mark always took great care of me, no matter how busy he was, but now he would come home late at night and sometimes even work on weekends. I started feeling like I was losing myself in this marriage. My life became monotonous and dull, and the sense of emptiness in my heart grew heavier day by day. I had tried to communicate with Mark, hoping to regain the intimacy between us. I told him that I felt lonely and lost, and that I wanted him to spend more time with me. However, Mark always used his busy work schedule as an excuse, ignoring my needs. He thought I didn't understand his hard work, while I felt he didn't care about my feelings at all. One weekend, I meticulously prepared a candlelit dinner, hoping to spend a romantic evening with Mark, but Mark left home in a hurry due to an urgent work matter. I sat alone at the dinner table, looking at the now cold food, and tears silently streamed down my face. I felt my heart breaking bit by bit, unable to bear this life any longer. My friend Emily saw my pain and advised me several times to divorce Mark and start a new life. Emily believed I should seek my happiness instead of continuing to struggle in this painful marriage. However, I still harbored a glimmer of hope in my heart, hoping that one day Mark would wake up and return to me. One night, I lay in bed alone, reminiscing about the moments between Mark and me. I didn't know how much longer I could hold on, nor did I know what the future held. I decided to temporarily leave this painful environment and go to an unfamiliar place to relax, giving myself and Mark some space and time. To escape the oppressive life, I decided to travel to Hawaii alone to unwind. I hoped to find some inner peace amid the beautiful scenery. Hawaii's sunny weather and gentle sea breeze seemed to have a healing effect on my heart. One sunny afternoon, while strolling along the beach on a small island, I unexpectedly met my childhood playmate, Jack. We were thrilled to recognize each other and started talking about our lives. Jack was also in an unhappy marriage, feeling lonely and disappointed like me. We drank at a beach bar, drowning our sorrows in alcohol. Under the influence of alcohol, our conversation grew more intimate as we confided in each other about our marital woes. Jack's gaze was gentle and filled with concern as he listened to my complaints, offering me comfort and encouragement. I felt a long-lost warmth, realizing that my feelings for Jack still existed, buried beneath the dust of time. We talked for a long time in the bar, reminiscing about our childhood memories and discussing our current life situations. I talked about the pain and loneliness in my marriage, while Jack shared the conflicts and coldness between him and his wife. We realized how similar our situations were, creating a sense of mutual understanding and sympathy. Fueled by alcohol, our emotions grew even stronger. Jack gently held my hand and looked into my eyes, saying, "Lisa, do you know you've always been that special person in my heart? Even though we haven't seen each other for years, I've never forgotten you." His sincere words moved me deeply, and tears involuntarily streamed down my face. Under the hazy night sky, Jack and I returned to his hotel room. Passion ignited instantly. We couldn't resist the attraction between us and spent a night filled with passion in bed. We walked into the hotel room, the air thick with alcohol and unfulfilled desire. Jack gently closed the door, and my heart raced, filled with conflicting emotions and anticipation. Jack approached me, tenderly caressing my cheek before leaning in to kiss me. This kiss sent shivers down my spine, breaking down my internal defenses bit by bit. Jack's hands slowly slid down my shoulders, unbuttoning my clothes. I closed my eyes, savoring every touch from Jack. Our bodies pressed tightly together as if trying to merge into one. Jack gently pushed me onto the bed and leaned over me. Our breaths intertwined as the flames of passion grew ever hotter. That night, we forgot all our worries and restraints, immersing ourselves in each other's tenderness and passion. I felt reborn, finding long-lost satisfaction and security in Jack's embrace. Our bodies moved like the waves, and it seemed the entire world had disappeared, leaving only the two of us. At the peak of our passion, Jack and I clung tightly to each other, as if trying to merge our souls. In each other's arms, we felt the warmth and love we had missed for so long, reminiscent of the beautiful times of our youth. The next morning, I woke up and saw Jack sleeping peacefully beside me, filled with regret and shame. I hurriedly left the hotel, ending this brief journey and returning home. Once home, my feelings were complex. I was afraid of the potential consequences of my actions and deeply remorseful. On the plane, I pondered my behavior, unable to believe I had done such a thing. My heart was torn apart. I couldn't forget Jack's tenderness and was frustrated with Mark's coldness. I decided to bury everything deep within and try to forget what happened in Hawaii. To cover up my guilt, I decided to be doubly good to Mark. I put on sexy lingerie, trying to be intimate with Mark, but he rejected me because he had already been with his mistress after work. This made me feel even more lost and guilty, and I began to doubt all my decisions. Lying in bed, I thought about that passionate night and the coldness I felt now, and my mood plummeted. I realized I had made a huge mistake but couldn't fix it. I decided to bury everything deep within and never mention it again. I started taking better care of Mark, preparing his favorite meals, and trying to make our home life warm and harmonious. I hoped my efforts would win back Mark's heart and restore the intimacy between us. However, Mark's attitude remained cold, and he ignored my care, still engrossed in his work and his mistress. I felt all my efforts were in vain, but didn't give up, hoping that one day Mark would wake up and return to me. Mark's rejection made me feel even more guilty, and I decided to compensate for my mistakes through actions. I took out my savings and bought Mark his favorite motorcycle. Mark was ecstatic about the gift, gratefully hugging me, and we had passionate sex that night. Our relationship seemed to return to the sweetness of our newlywed days. I felt a bit of relief, thinking I had finally found a way to save our marriage. I started taking even better care of Mark, preparing his favorite meals, and making our home life as warm and harmonious as possible. Mark also began showing more care and consideration for me, and our relationship seemed to improve gradually. My sense of guilt slowly dissipated, and I started to believe that everything would be okay. I spent a lot of time and effort trying to make our home life warm again. I redecorated our home in Mark's favorite style and even arranged several romantic dinners. I hoped these changes would show Mark my efforts and reignite his passion for our family. Mark began appreciating my efforts, and his attitude toward me softened. One weekend, we went on a countryside vacation that I had meticulously planned, hoping it would help us rediscover the sweetness we once had. During the vacation, we walked together, watched movies, and had picnics, just like our honeymoon days. In this peaceful countryside retreat, Mark and I seemed to rekindle our passion for each other. We held hands while walking along country paths, snuggled on the grass by the lake, and talked about our beautiful memories under the stars. At that moment, I felt like I had found inner peace and happiness again, as if all the pain and anxiety had been left behind. However, deep down, Mark's doubts had not entirely disappeared. Although he appeared more gentle and considerate, his heart still held on to my betrayal in Hawaii. I could sense his occasional coldness and distrust, but I chose to ignore these signs, trying to convince myself that everything would be. I also began to re-engage with my work, striving to improve my professional skills and achieve something in my career. I attended various training courses, continuously learning new knowledge and skills. At the same time, I put even more effort into managing our home life, hoping my efforts would win back Mark's heart. However, I could never find complete peace within myself. Every time the night grew quiet, I would think about that night in Hawaii, remembering Jack's tender touch and caring gaze. The guilt continued to torment me, preventing me from fully letting go. As time went by, my relationship with Mark improved. But one day, while organizing clothes, Mark found a cigarette burn hole in the lingerie I wore during my trip. He became suspicious and questioned whether I had cheated on him during the trip. With tears, I confessed my mistake in Hawaii, telling Mark it was just a moment of drunken passion and I had been deeply remorseful ever since. I explained that my increased care and attention to him were my attempts to make amends. My confession filled Mark with anger and humiliation. He couldn't accept my betrayal, and his inner rage burned fiercely. I knelt on the floor, tears streaming down my face, begging Mark for forgiveness, hoping we could start over. However, Mark's heart was already filled with thoughts of revenge. He decided to make me feel the pain of betrayal without revealing his true intentions. Mark pretended to forgive me, but began planning his revenge. He continued his affair with his mistress, Anna, and gradually made my life more difficult. He created opportunities at work to make me fail and manipulated my friends to distance themselves from me. I noticed my life getting worse, but I thought it was just the consequence of my betrayal, and I lived in constant self-blame and guilt. Mark began deliberately causing problems for me at work, ensuring that my projects failed and my performance suffered. I faced the threat of being fired, and my confidence in my abilities took a severe hit. He also manipulated social situations, making me feel isolated and unwelcome among friends and family. Anna, Mark's mistress, played a crucial role in his revenge plan. She pretended to befriend me, only to subtly undermine my confidence and insinuate that Mark doubted my loyalty. Her deceitful tactics left me feeling increasingly anxious and paranoid. Mark's actions escalated, and I found myself questioning my every decision. I tried to talk to Mark about my struggles, but he responded with cold indifference. My mental health deteriorated as I struggled with insomnia and anxiety. Mark finally confronted me, showing me all the evidence he had gathered. Shocked and realizing the gravity of my mistake, I broke down in tears, begging for his forgiveness. But Mark, with a cold and unforgiving demeanor, told me he had decided to divorce me and start a new life. I was left in a state of despair, having lost all trust and love. I reflected on my actions, realizing it was too late to make amends. My world crumbled. I lost my family, career, and friends, leaving me with nothing. Mark quickly made his relationship with Anna public after the divorce. They frequently appeared together at social events, seemingly flaunting their happiness in front of me. Witnessing this, I felt immense pain and hopelessness, unable to understand why things had turned out this way and unable to forgive myself for my past mistakes. I tried to start over, moving to a new city to escape the shadows of my past. However, no matter where I went, the pain and guilt followed me. My life became increasingly difficult, and my mental state worsened. After the divorce, Mark moved on with his new life, while I lived in endless guilt and pain. I discovered that I had been betrayed not only by Mark, but also by my mother, Alice, and my lover. The realization nearly drove me to a mental breakdown, while Alice also suffered from the guilt of betraying her daughter. I spent my days in self-blame and anguish, unable to forgive myself for my past mistakes or accept my current life. I turned to alcohol, hoping to numb my pain, but it only worsened my condition. Eventually, my mental state deteriorated to the point where I was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. There, I spent my days in torment, constantly reflecting on my mistakes and the pain that now defined my life. Mark, meanwhile, found his relationship with Anna becoming increasingly empty and unfulfilling. He began to realize that his revenge had not brought him the satisfaction he sought. Seeing me fall apart, he felt a twinge of guilt deep within. Anna also grew tired of Mark's controlling nature and obsession with revenge. She wanted a peaceful life, but Mark remained trapped in his cycle of vengeance, unable to let go. In the psychiatric hospital, I gradually regained my sanity and began therapy, trying to face my life anew. I understood that I had made terrible mistakes, but also hoped to find a fresh start and regain inner peace. If you like our stories, please subscribe to our channel so that I can push better stories to you.